I guess I'll start with Z. What was it like to kind of, as the season has ended, what was it like to kind of be traded in the middle of the season? I'm pretty sure this was the only trade of the WNBA season.
Damn.
Dang. I did not know that.
I said it to the team after the game, like it hasn't been an easy journey. This season has been a lot of ups and the downs felt really heavy. But I am extremely grateful that I was traded to this group. We're just amazing human beings. And they have helped me grow tremendously as a person and as a leader. And I'm actually really happy that I ended up here. It hasn't been easy, you know, but yeah, they've been great to me, and I've grown closer to people that I didn't think I would, and I'm just very grateful.
And what
Me
is
and
it,
my friends.
what has it been like to move to a more young group as opposed to the men who were very veteran?
Yeah, well, it's not the first time I've been one of the oldest. I played with New York in the bubble, and we had 7 rookies. But even though our team is very young, everyone wants to win. Everyone wants to win for the next person. And that is rare, right? And once again, like I've just been surrounded by amazing human beings. Everyone work hard and everyone has, you know, we all had a goal and we wanted to make the playoffs, but we didn't, but we broke records. And it's just wonderful seeing so many, you know, people from all around just coming together and making something so beautiful. So yeah.
And I guess I can pose the same question to you, Emma. What was it like being a veteran on a majorly young team?
I feel like this year was actually a little bit easier than last year. I feel like last year we had nothing but rookies, and that was just it was a challenge in itself, just because the transition, you know, and helping them understand that now this is a business more so than, you know, you just being in school. Whereas like this year, I felt like the rookies that we did have, they came in with the mindset that they knew that this was the WNBA and that they wanted to be great. And that was that right there. I mean, you can't teach that. So it made those of us that were leaders on this team, our job a lot easier.
And then just for both of you, what plans do you have for the off season? Are you planning to go overseas or?
Well, I'm gonna not do anything for like 3 days, for sure. Nothing. Yeah, because I can't. If I sit and start eating, it's a wrap. Yeah, but I'm headed to Turkey. My family and I will be leaving probably the 28th. And I'll head over there and play there for 6 months before returning back.
Yeah, and I'm going to Israel on the 1st. Yeah, I'm not gonna do anything. It's like I'm not gonna touch a basketball.
For sure.
That's what I say when I say I'm gonna do
Yeah.
anything. I'm gonna work out. But I think this break between now and Israel is well needed, mentally more than anything else. And I'm just so freaking excited to see my family. I cannot wait. And home cooked food.
Pat, anything to add? Emma, considering the earlier portion of your career, does that give you different perspective when you finish a season now? And what is your perspective knowing that you have another in the books and that it's almost 3 full years here with Indiana?
Yeah, for sure. I'll piggyback on what Zali said, like grateful, always grateful, because like a lot of people know or don't know, I didn't get into the league until I was 28. So finishing up another year, a full season, and then also doing it with Indiana, who actually, you know, gave me a platform to come in and have that family. The perspective on it is just like, just be grateful, because at the end of the day, you never know what can happen or what will happen. So just remaining, you know, humble with everything, being positive with everything, and just taking it one day at a time.
Amanda, how did Christy help get you ready for the transition kind of mid-season?
Yeah, we had a conversation where she pretty much just told me like the lows gonna feel like they are really, really low. And the struggle's gonna feel really heavy, but they're not as bad as they feel when you take a second to like just reflect on it. And then the highs won't feel as super high as they are, but in our reality, they're extremely high because if you look at the big picture, we are extremely young. So everything that we have done, all the records and everything, like it's really impressive. But she told me like your emotions are going to feel heavier than what reality really is. And I'm just grateful that she sat me down and said that. And it's something that I'm gonna take with me like just through in life, right? It's never as bad as you feel like it is in the moment. But she also told me that this group never gives up, and I think that's something that everyone has seen, right? And even before coming to Indy, like we said it, like I was like, Indy's one of the toughest teams because they constantly hustle, like relax, right? Like you play against them being with them, it's really beautiful to see. Yeah.
Carly, you got
Hey,
anything
Tori.
to add real quick? Hello, Tori.
Hey, girl.
Oh, boy.
Questions this time. Okay. Emma, you've been doing a lot of community work this month, and of course throughout the season. Can you talk about what that means to you to integrate into the indie community?
It means a lot. I love giving back, and I've been with the Wheeler Mission House for a little bit, and been going there doing pizza parties and ice cream parties, and seeing the kids and seeing all the ladies. It's amazing, And I've said it before, like I could have been there, with different choices that were made, different decisions that were made. Like me and my mom had a lot of stuff that we went through. So, being able to go there and give back and see people smile is enough for me.
And then Amanda, I've got one for you too. You have a strong connection with our young bigs. Tell us what that connection means to you.
I love them. I just love them so much. And I think that what really sparked that connection is that they are so willing and accepting me for who I am. And that is big. And especially Emma knows this generation is different. Like it's different. But they're great ass human beings. I'm sorry I said ass, but they're great people.
I think that's allowed.
Oh, ass.
All right.
They are just so amazing, and they also willing to learn, and they brought out, and I think especially Leah and Victoria definitely brought out like a more mature side of me, and like allowed me to openly be the basketball nerd that I am and like break down the game. And then just being goofy. Like I don't know if you have seen it, but me and V on the sideline are stupid. Like we just talk and we just joke and we're having the greatest time. And that is so important, especially for people that don't play a lot of minutes, right? Like our bench mob. We probably have the best bench mob in the league, and we have so much fun. And that shows that we love and care for the game. But also like that's what teammates are supposed to be, right? Like positive and uplifting. So I love that.
Tony, got any more to add?
Hey, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Hey, Emma, I actually want to ask you about the franchise in general, because since you got here 3 years ago, basically everything's changed, right? Front office is different, head coaching staff's different. Only 3 or 4, I think, players have been on the roster the whole time. What have you seen of just the growth of the Fever franchise since you got here 3 years ago?
I feel like it's grown tremendously. I mean, you gotta think about it just from wins and losses. We actually hit 13 this year, and I feel like that was amazing. It's not tough being on a team or being a part of a team where you care so much about the person that's next to you, but yet you're still losing, and that's tough. So this year, I mean, even with the losses that we did have, they were still super close. And I feel like that gave us confidence. So down the stretch, we ended the season, on a winning streak kind of. I think we won 5 out of the last 7 games. So I feel like that just lets everybody know that the sky is the limit for Indiana Fever, and that next year, hopefully that they can and will be contending playoff team. You know, anything is possible. So I'm very happy with the movement, the direction that Indiana Fever is going in, and the sky is the limit.
All good, Tony? Good.
Tony!
Emma, Z, thank you so much. We'll have Tori and we got Maya coming up next, so. Oh, yeah, do you have one more
I
fact?
do, but I can't remember the name of the animal.
Guess I'll start with Victoria. You've been on this team for 5 years now.
6.
6 years now.
Yeah.
What did this season feel like? Was it different than past or?
Yeah, of course, it was different from the past. We won 13 games. Haven't did that like the year I was injured. I think that's the year they won 13. But everything is different around here. Winning, the atmosphere, the environment, like everything is completely different. So I think that caused us to win more games than we did in the past.
And there's a new front office, new coaching staff, obviously everything's different, as you said. How have you seen that contribute to the growth of kind of the franchise in general?
I mean, when you got everything that's falling into place with the coaches, their energy is great. Like everybody around great, like the media, Hillary, like everything is just really good. So when that's going good, it makes everyone feel good. So if you feel good, you should play great, I hope.
And then Maya coming in this season from the Dream kind of with Christy, what was that like in general? How do you think this season went for you?
Coming in with Christy and then even Christy Wallace and Erica Woodard, like it was a smooth transition for me. I felt like there wasn't too much adjusting that I had to do as far as, getting to know a lot of people and getting to trust a lot of people. But I did love coming in with them. And then the season for me, there was a lot of ups and downs personally, but we got through it. It was a good season for the team and had a good time.
And then for both of you, what plans do you have for the off season? Are you planning to go play overseas or?
I will not be playing overseas. And I'm so happy to say that.
I'm going to Israel
You on the same team as the year, is it?
for now. I'm going to
Anybody else? Carly, anything? Tony, anybody on Zoom? Alexa?
Yeah, can you hear me? Okay.
Yep.
Tori, I actually want to ask you about Kelsey, who you've been teammates with your entire career. This year was her first All-Star season in the league. I'm curious if you noticed anything different about her, like day one of training camp, about her ability level and what you thought of her improvements to finally reach that accolade this year.
If I'm being honest, she should have been All-Star. Like she's like phenomenal on the court and off the court. Like Kelsey is a great player, great teammate, like, and she shows it every day. So for her just now being an All-Star, it's not right because I think she deserved to be more than one time, and it's her 6th year, and I can't believe she's just now getting it, but well deserved.
Anybody else? Anything for Maya, Tori? Okay.
Thank you, bye.
Free to go.
What is it? Bye.
Questions for Christy Wallace or Victoria Saxton? Chloe, like to start?
Yeah, both of you were newcomers to the franchise or the team this year. What were your first impressions of coming in? How do you think the season went with knowing what you knew about the team?
I enjoyed my time here. I don't even know what my expectations were, but I think everything here was like top tier for me. Coming into the W, I think people come in and not expect it to be anything special, and I think this experience has been a special experience.
Same, special experience, and yeah, just lucky to have the people that we do here. I really enjoyed my year.
And then V came in with Aaliyah from South Carolina. What was that like to kind of have somebody with you?
It was amazing just to have somebody that I've known for like 4 years, and being comfortable with each other, being able to talk to each other, going through this process together, and keeping each other level-headed, and just, staying together always.
And Christy, your role kind of grew throughout the course of the season, especially on defense. How did that kind of come about, and how did you see yourself grow this season?
Yeah, I think it just kind of came about through injury, unfortunately, when Lexi went down, but took the opportunity and did my best with it. Yeah, I think my role changed a bit this season, but was happy to do whatever I could to help the team at the time. So really enjoyed that, and whatever role I'm playing, I'm just enjoying being on the team.
And for me, Z talked a lot about how she loves you and the Liga and how you and her were always very animated on the bench. What was your relationship with her after she was traded, and how did she kind of help you out throughout the second half of the season?
I mean, I'm really excited that Z ended up on this team with us. I think it's very special. We grew really close in such a short time, and she's a big sister to me. I can call on her for anything I need, any advice. She's there always. So I just think that was really important for me, and I'm happy.
Then my final thing for both of you is, do you have plans to play overseas this off season?
Yeah, I'm going to be playing back home in Australia. Yeah.
And yes, I do have plans to play.
Anybody else? Pat, anything? Carly? Maya, you have anything?
Yes, actually, I do.
Okay.
For both of you ladies, you had such an amazing season, but you actually had an even better teammate. Do you want to talk more about who that teammate is, or?
I mean, everybody loves Maya. She has such high energy, always dancing, just making it fun always. So we always love her for that.
Who's Maya? Who's that?
That's all I have. Thank you.
Tony, got anything?
Yeah, I'll start with you, Christy. How's your knee, and is it anything that's gonna affect you long term, do you think?
My knee's doing really well at the moment, so I'll head home and do a bit of rehab. And yeah, hopefully to just get into the season back home. Hopefully it's not too long, but I'm feeling really good right now.
Being with Christy Sides last year to this year, what was it like seeing her kind of growth as a coach up close?
Really good. Being a first year coach, I'm sure has many difficulties, and just a lot of learning curves. And so she took them with her stride, and I thought she did a fantastic job for her first year, knowing how hard it is, especially to come into a program that hasn't been doing previously well, and to get the result we did. I thought pretty incredible.
Victoria, I talked to you earlier in the season about just, your path making the team even after camp as a third round pick. Did you ever have moments to soak in and enjoy this whole season and take in that you were in the league and just really enjoy it?
I mean, I feel like my teammates and my coaches made me enjoy this whole entire season, the whole moment. Just make the best of it.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I have one for Chrissy. Being around Chrissy Sides, just kind of knowing what she can do as a coach, seeing her in a new capacity as a head coach, was it what you had expected? Did it exceed expectations? Was it something that you when you saw that you were coming here, oh yeah, I get to be with her again?
Yeah, I was really excited to play for her. Obviously the role as an assistant and a head coach is much different, but Christy will always just bring the energy and the passion. She did that as an assistant, and she's doing that as a head coach. She really believes, and she believes in this program, and that makes everyone else buy in. So because she believes, we believe. And that's really, really fun to have a head coach that believes so much in us and in what we can do.
Anybody else? Adam, anything? No? Okay. B, Christy, thank you so much. We'll pause for a little bit, and we'll bring Grace and Lexi in next at around 9:30. Like to start?
Lexi, I'll start with you. What was it like sitting out the last, 7 games of the season and kind of going through the injuries you did this season?
Yeah, it's not ideal to be sitting out ever. So it was hard, but I think our coaches and our team is really fun to be around. So they made it exciting, and I felt still engaged and a part of the team. So definitely hard, definitely don't wish that on anyone. So hopefully I am out less next year.
Yeah, Melissa said earlier this season when she was out, she kind of got a different perspective of the game. Was that the same for you being out?
Yeah, it's an opportunity to watch more and to learn, and definitely you kind of see things that you don't see when you're in the middle of the game.
And then Grace, kind of just generally coming in as a rookie and then slowly building up your time over the season. What was that like for you?
Yeah, I knew it was going to be a process. You're going into the best
basketball league in the world. So, you know, my goal was just to continue to build throughout the season, to continue to learn from my teammates, from my coaches every day, and get better. And I think I did that. And I think it makes me excited for, you know, what's to come next year.
And then Lexi, you were here last year, but now it's new management, a new coaching staff. How did you see that difference throughout this season?
It's definitely, it was a big difference, and it was fun to play throughout the year. I know last year we second half was tough. And this year, I feel like there was hope in every game. We were competitive in every game. So it's just exciting that we're being led by a really good group of people, and a group that I believe in, that our team believes in. And so it makes us really excited for next year.
And then I know, Grace, you're going to Spain for the off season, but what plans do you, Lexi, have for the off season?
So up in the air, but in the short term, I'm going to Chile to play in the Pan American Games for 3-on-3.
Tony?
How's the shoulder right now? And you're almost fully recovered at this point.
You see this? We're getting there. We're almost there.
That's a good answer.
How did you feel about this season, Lexi? When you came in, you were talking a lot about your defensive improvement, and that definitely happened. The full season in total, both sides of the ball. Do you feel like you got better on defense, and what did you think of your offensive season?
Yeah, I think I did. And obviously there's a lot of room to grow. There's incredible players in the W, and to be able to play against them, I think that just makes us all better, because we're learning and we're getting beat and we're learning from that. And then we're having good moments and we're learning from that. So there's always room for growth, and I'm excited to kind of keep growing in that category. Offensively, I think I have also a lot of room to grow. I know my shot wasn't as consistent as I was hoping it would be this year. So that's something that I'll definitely be focusing on in the offseason.
Truman has this by a million people, but what do you think of what's out of the Pac-12?
I'm happy I'm not playing there next year, but it's a new frontier for them. Exciting to see kind of where that goes, but it's sad because the Pac-12 has just been such a big part of my college experience.
Grace, how do you think you got better from day one here to now?
I think like Lexi said, you're playing against the best players in the world, so naturally you're going to get better kind of in every area, just through kind of trial and error and just learning as you go. So I'd say, pretty much every aspect I just, learned. I think defensively is a big adjustment for rookies in the league. You're guarding the best players in the world, so you got to kind of, be spot on just about every game, or you're going to get beat. So I think defensively, I think just confidence in the system, learning how to be a pro. I think just got better, each and every game.
Is there any person or advice you got this year that was particularly helpful for you, either with this team or just in your whole life?
I think just kind of watching the vets, how they handle their business, how they are a pro on and off the court, how they take care of their bodies. Games come quickly in the WNBA, so you really have to stay on top of taking care of your body, even if you feel fine. It'll add up throughout the season. So I think, whether that was getting in the cold tub, getting with our trainer, just really, staying on top of that.
Later in the year, you were on the floor a lot in late, tight games. What do you feel like the impact of that experience could be on you going forward?
I think it's good. Nothing in practice can really emulate that, that type of in-game pressure and whatnot. So I think being out there as a rookie, getting that chance, not many rookies, probably get that experience. So I feel grateful for that. And hopefully just, make me better, down the road when I'm in those scenarios.
This is an oddly specific question, but just genuinely curious. It seems like you're really comfortable around the baseline, like more than maybe a typical guard might be. Do you feel like, is that an area where you just kind of always found it to be a comfort zone for you? Am I reading too much into it? What do you think?
No, in college, I was always one of the bigger, especially point guards. So I was a lot of times bigger than the people that were guarding me. So my coaches were, I think, intentional about like running post up plays for me and getting me easy looks down there if I had somebody that was 5'7" on me.
Anybody in the back, Adam?
Grace, your rookie season's come to a close, and you obviously were not very far from the nest or where you were playing college ball. So now that you've had a full WNBA season under your belt in the Hoosier State, I'm just kind of curious your thoughts on you know, whether it was IU Day, seeing Carrie up here for a game, anything like that, and still being close to home playing in the best league?
I think it was just the Hoosier fans that are now hopefully, you know, Fever fans and see how exciting the Fever organization is. And, you know, they might not have been exposed to that, people from Bloomington and surrounding cities before, but I think now that they've come to games, maybe to follow me, they've fallen in love with our teammates, our culture, how hard we play, how much youth we have, how exciting we are for the future. And now they're Fever fans, not just Hoosier fans. So, you know, I believe that they're going to keep coming back for years to come.
Alexa on Zoom.
Lexi, V talked about how everything felt different, and you were saying there's hope in games, and you were in these situations where it just was fun. Do you think that was a product of Christy and the energy that she brings? So, or just and that all just kind of trickled down, or where do you kind of see that assessment?
Yeah, I think it definitely starts from the top and then trickles down. Christy came in with a lot of energy. She always has a lot of energy on a good day, on a bad day. We can count on that from her. And the coaches also kind of emulate that. So then it's exciting to be in the gym because there's just good energy, good vibes. And then we are excited to play for each other and play for a group, play for coaches that believe in us. So it's definitely, it was fun. It was more fun, and it'll be even more fun when we win more. So it's just exciting to be part of something that's growing and something that we can look forward to in the future.
Anybody else? Anything for Lexi or Grace? No. Okay. We'll let these two go, and then we'll have Melissa and Erica Wheeler join us next.
You hear me? No. Yeah. Let's do it.
All right, Chloe, like start anything for EW or Liz?
I guess I'll start with both of you. This team was slightly older than it was last year, but you were both adjusting to a new coach, new management. How did that kind of change the franchise this season?
Come on, what? All right. Well, for me, just being able to come back, just seeing a big difference from my first year here with just the facility. I'll start with the facilities first. It's completely different. When I was here, I had maybe everything was all in one box. The locker room, the weight room, training room was all in one box. And now we actually have a film room, which is super dope. And then for the culture, I think it was it's transition. I mean, I think Christy came in, had a plan, and we executed it. I mean, of course, we didn't make playoffs, but I think everybody brought into what she wanted to do. And we got the results we got. We won, what, 12 games? 13 games. That's better than 2 years here. You know, last year was 6. Year before was 5. So last year was 5. Last year was 5. The year before it was 6. So I think we did way more than what people expect. So I think, you know, it's just gonna go up from here. Don't agree. You gotta give your. No, that was great. That was great.
And Melissa, you were injured for a good chunk of games, but you said it gave you a good new perspective from the sidelines. How did you use that kind of new perspective to help when you came back for the season?
Well, they had me like taking track of, you know, how many possessions that we have empty. So seeing that from like the sideline and then going into the game, you're just very conscious of like your shot selection and how fast y'all want to push in transition or when you need a good shot. So I think that kind of opened up my perspective on just, you know, getting good shots.
Yeah, and are you fully healed from your foot injury?
I'm not yet.
How long do you think it will take for you to be fully healed from that?
4 to 8 weeks.
You have
Sitting on my tail doing nothing.
Do you have any plans to go overseas for?
Yeah, I'm going to Turkey.
Okay. Then you're obviously not going overseas. Do you have any specific plans for the off season?
I'm gonna shut it down for 2 months at least. Just not pick up a basketball. Kind of just support my fiance in her career. See some family. Actually get to be here for my nieces and nephews' birthday for the first time in 8 years. So I'm gonna enjoy that. So just really just tapping into the people that just supported me over the years. This time I have off because I haven't. So that's what I'll be doing.
Liz, how did your on-court chemistry grow with Aaliyah this season? You know, it's not that you overlap, but you know, you're both better around the basket. How did that high-low game and your chemistry evolve throughout the year?
It evolved great. In the beginning, you kind of don't know where like each other likes the ball or how like if someone wants to pop or roll, but I think throughout like the season, you could just see us grow tremendously, you know, roll rise, high lows, you know, just playing with each other. So I think we adjusted well, and I hope it showed.
You had that 5 wins number ready off the top of your head. How much better did this year feel to you? And what kind of did you feel in the growth from the whole franchise, the team, decision makers, coaching, everything?
This year was great. You know, it was a huge leap from last year, and that just shows, you know, every single year, like it's just gonna keep getting better. You know, going from 5 wins to 13, you know, it doesn't sound huge to a lot of people, but it's huge for us, and it just shows our growth, and it shows our growth from our culture, our coaching staff, our scouts, are just buying in and pouring in, and it showed.
And Gal Tassarai, correct?
Correct.
Erica, for you, you were with Christy last year, you played with under her before. How did she get better from year to year, from last year to the end of this year?
If you ask me, she got worse. Don't play. No. Please don't let her see that. Remember, like, as everybody know, me and Christy's relationship has been ongoing since I've been here in Indiana. So for me to have her in Atlanta, she was one of the reasons why, you know, it was a great fit for me. And she helped me adjust a lot, because the transition from LA to Atlanta was pretty different. It was a pretty young group, and she just kept me level-headed. And then just being here, we had conversations, you know, once I signed, about what the plan was, and, you know, I was on board with it. And I just try to execute as much as I can from the locker room standpoint. She trusts me, I trust her. And I'll say that in the growth area, I just think that she didn't allow her emotions to take over in moments, because she's very emotional. She's very passionate about the things that she do. So I think that she grew in an area where her emotions used to take over her sometimes, but I think on the back end, she kind of channeled them in different ways. And I told her that the other day, like, yeah, you got your emotions intact, because you be on fire. But and then just the growth of just being able to come here and take a team that won 5 wins, I just credit to her, because she just she had a plan, and she executed more than what a lot of people thought she would do. And like Liz said, people don't think 13 wins is great. That is great for us. Nobody expect us to even win more than that, because we was counted as number 12. We finished at 10. Okay.
You talked a lot throughout the season, Erica, about how great of a person you think Aaliyah Boston is off the court, but on the floor, was there a moment early in camp or in practices where you're like, oh, she's got it, you know, like right away?
I knew she had it before she even got here. I think I said this to the media too, the clip where she gave her teammate the award for helping them win, I think it was a tournament or something like that. I knew she was gonna be great then, because most people don't do that. It's, you know, as basketball players, when we get accolades, that's for ourselves. And for her to give her award to one of her teammates because she helped them win, they just speak volumes of who she is.
Alexa on Zoom.
Melissa, you talk about how this is a lot bigger, you know, for you guys inside the building than maybe people outside realize. Can you talk a little bit about just what that culture change really tangibly has felt like for you from your first year now to your second?
I feel like it was just more of just a professional leap. Like, you know, I feel like, not talking down on last year, but we just got treated more like professional athletes this year. You know, we took like the recovery serious. You know, we took time on stretches. We took time on film. Like, no matter how long film and scout took, we were going to take our time and cover those defenses and stuff like that. And then, you know, just like bonding with our teammates. You know, we created this culture. And, you know, we just, like I said, we poured in. Like, every game, we just constantly played hard, and we all bought in. We all had one goal, and I feel like that's why we accomplished it.
Yeah.
Anybody else in the room? Anybody on Zoom? No, I think
And it's a wrap.
Hey, don't.
All right, we'll get back to questions here in the room for Aaliyah or Kelsey. Polly, like start.
I'll start for Aaliyah. It's your first season. You said throughout the season that a lot of it is not what you've expected. Did everything exceed your expectations, or how did that go for your first season?
Yeah, I mean, I had a great first season. I really don't have any complaints about it. It was great to like be here and learn and be able to accomplish something that I've always dreamt of. But I mean, it was really exciting.
And you talked a lot going up against bigs like Tierra McGowan and Brittany Griner, how did that help you learn and how did you kind of improve going up against people like that throughout the season?
Yeah, I think those games, just going up against like the top bigs, just helped me to be able to expand my game and just be confident in what I can do. Cause sometimes it's hard to just bang down there like every possession. And so being able to step off the block, I was able to exploit that a little bit more. But I think it also just helps me with my toughness, being able to just battle, understand that I have to give it my all.
And then for Kelsey, you've obviously been on this team for a while. You've been through all the downs of 5 wins and this kind of up year this year. What differences did you see this season?
I think it was a shift in leadership. That obviously helped us be here. But more importantly, we picked a good group, and I think that we did a good job of remaining resilient this year, and I think that it paid off in the end.
Yeah, with the new leadership, new coaching staff and management, how did you see the culture change from last year to this year?
In so many ways, I think we've created a standard for ourselves in what Indiana FIBA basketball is now going to be, and I think going into one of the best leagues in the world, you have to be prepared for every moment. And I think our organization is now one of those ones that you have to come correct about, hopefully, and I think that's the image that we want to portray.
And then for both of you, do you have plans to go overseas for the off season or plans to play in the off season?
We want to live one day at a time.
Me too. Me too.
That's not a good, huh?
That was really good.
That was good.
Somebody put that on
Tony.
Twitter.
I guess Leah, as a follow-up to that, just because you went straight from the college season into the W season, are you looking forward to a little bit of a basketball break?
I am. It's kind of crazy because I feel like I haven't had like an actual break since like I started playing AU basketball, because it went from AU to like high school and then back and circle. And so this is my first real break. And so I'm kind of excited for that. Just kind of take a moment to soak in everything that's happened over the past like year and some change. And so I'm really excited for it.
What are you gonna do? Do you have any idea?
Well, first I'm gonna take a little break. I'm gonna just relax, and then just gonna get back to working out and get started with some other stuff.
What was the best advice you got all season or leading into this season?
Ooh, I think give myself some grace. I feel like that's the best thing, just because I'm very passionate about the game, and I also set high expectations for myself. And so if I don't think I've gotten to where I want to be or did what I wanted to do, then I kind of just continue to like put more pressure and like, you need to do this, you need to do that. And so just understanding that this is a new space for me, or it was, and I just need to give myself some grace.
Kelsey, an 8-win jump from last year, and you were named, and also for the first time. How rewarding, if at all, was this season for you?
I think for me it was about, that mental growth, and I think I took a big leap in the game itself because of my mental, and I think that I'm at peace with my life, and I think because of that I've opened up more and more of myself that can be carried out on the floor, and I'm confident about it. And so I guess that kind of went into mentally being prepared for every moment, whether it's uncomfortable or not, and I had a good team to do it. So.
Asked Tori about you, so I'll flip it around. You've been with her whole career. How have you seen her career kind of develop and grow, and what do you think of what she did for you guys this year?
Victoria Vivians? Oh man, I think that she handled adversity really, really well. It's very hard. It's kind of like football, playing both sides of the ball. It's very hard to switch from position to position and respond on command about that. And I think Victoria Vivians did a really good job of staying resilient in the moments where she's, used to playing a certain position, used to getting certain minutes for that position, and have to transition based on what the team needs. And I think she was an unbelievable leader about that. So hats off to her.
Leah, last year when in college, people were talking a lot about what you were and do not go pro. Now that you're here, what did it mean to you to be in the WNBA?
Yeah, it means a lot. This is a goal of mine. It's been a dream of mine since I started playing basketball. I feel like, and I keep saying that, but I think that's really the base of it. Like, this is something that I wanted to do. And so when it came to the option of going pro or not, in the back of my mind, I knew that is something that I always wanted to do. And I just felt like I was going to come out and enter the draft. And it just means a lot to be able to say that you're one of 144 women athletes that play this sport and play the game that they love. And so it's really special to be here.
Right in the back, Adam.
Aaliyah, we talked with Melissa about kind of sharing the post? And I know you guys were in different positions, play different games, but you're both comfortable close to the basket. How did you guys kind of feed off of each other, and how did that grow from the start of the season to the end of the season?
Yeah, I mean, we just read each other. Like if Liz was rolling, that I knew I had to clear out, go to the top of the key, and let her go to work. And I think vice versa for her. But we're both very talented athletes in that aspect, and so it's kind of just we do what we need to do. If that means me posting up and Liz knocking down the jumper, and I think it helps that she's just so versatile. Like she can take people off the dribble from the top of the key, she can shoot the three, she keeps people on her toes, and so being able to play with her, honestly, it makes my job easier.
Angela.
Aaliyah, first season in the WNBA, what surprised you and what did you enjoy the most out of this season?
I enjoyed being able to play with this group of girls and play against the top women's basketball athletes in the world. What surprised me, I would say the physicality. Like I knew that was going to be a big step, but it's still like it is a huge step that you can't really prepare for until you're in it.
What about this team made you guys capable of going from 5 wins to 13 wins?
I think one, it starts with the coaches. They motivate us. They push us every single day in practice, before games, but also just our will to want to play for each other and to want to win. I think we're just very passionate about the sport, and you always want to leave everything out there. And so that's what we try to do every single night.
For both of you, Aaliyah, maybe start with you. This is such a great draft class of whoever decides to come in and to the WNBA. As women's basketball fandom grows, how do you see that potentially impacting the W as well when you potentially have a very high pick in the draft?
Yeah, I mean, it's just going to continue to bring more fans, more attention to the W and to our team, just because your fans don't just leave you after college. And I think that's the beauty of it. They fall in love with you possibly even before you get to college, and they just want to continue to see where you grow and how you grow. And so I just think it's going to be really good.
I think I would, piggyback off that and say that it's a big step for women's basketball. And so our drafts are getting better and better each year with such great talent. And so whoever we get, I'm sure they should be able to fit the Fever lifestyle and the organization. So we're just gonna do the basketball part though. I'll leave that to the GM.
Kelsey, what changed the most with this team, with the new coaches, with Aaliyah's addition and everything else this season?
I think the field. I think it's nothing like creating a good vibe and a good atmosphere for people to be a part of and want to be a part of. And I think that was the game changer. I think we have more and more people that want to be around and be a part of what we have going on. And I think because we felt that energy and that love, we was able to pour in a lot more.
And finally, last one for me, I promise. Kelsey, what were you most proud of what was something to be proud of from this season for you guys?
I think we didn't quit. I think that for so long before AB, before all of this, basketball is a universal sport. It's a universal love language. We use it to, bring each other together and play, the best basketball possible. And I think that the group that we put together has always been kind of, that light never really shined on us. And I think that we did a good job in not quitting, because we could have quit and floated in so many ways, and we did.
Go on Zoom, Bill.
All right, Aaliyah, kind of looking back on some things. This is probably the first time you have not been involved in a postseason since what, 8th, 9th grade?
Sure. That's
is that kind of a different feeling now that you're playing in the WNBA and you're not involved in the chase for the championship?
I mean, it's a different feeling, but at the same time, I feel like this entire season, like we were able to see us grow, and that motivates us for next year. I mean, next year we're coming and our goal is to be in the playoffs. Our goal is to just continue to be competing for a championship. And so I think it's good to have that baseline, that foundation, especially having won a lot more games than they did in the past. So, I mean, we can look at it that way as it's something that I haven't experienced in a while, but I also look at it as I see what's happening and where we're going to go.
One more question. You talked about how you grew your game as the season progressed. Where did you see that growth happening more? On the physical side of the game or more the mental side?
A little bit of both. I just think being able to, the mental part was definitely just being ready game after game. I mean, there's different scout every time and the games come quickly. So just being able to understand that even if I'm tired, I just have to be ready to compete. And then the physical side, just being a physical post player, but also just continue to be confident in who I am and just taking the right shots.
Thank you.
Finish up with Alexa.
Hey guys, I'm going to start with Kelsey. Victoria Vivian's talked a lot about how the culture, like everything has felt different from the very top to the very bottom. Can you kind of give your analysis on that, especially having played here your entire career as well?
Like I said, we've created a standard that, that we put on display now, that Indiana Fever basketball is what it is. And the standard that we created was that we're going to be a resilient, not quitting type team. And I think our relentless as a group, and all the support members of the Indiana Fever have done a good job of, empowering us to be who we are as women, but also celebrating us as basketball players. And I think that culture has shifted.
This all-star season for you is, from your teammates, it was, everyone was like, she should have been an all-star for so much longer. And yeah, I know you don't like to talk about yourself, but do you feel like just being around this group and around this energy really helped you kind of propel you to be your best self as well?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think that any good competitor, you have those goals that you establish for yourself, but at this level, you can't get it done without the ones around you and the ones that are with you. And so my team empowered me like I empowered them, and I think together we did some really great things. And I think our personal goals got intertwined with what we wanted as a group. And I think that's why we had a little success this year.
Aaliyah, so much success from your rookie season. How do you kind of build upon that and continue just to make yourself the best version of you that you can be in this league?
Yeah, just continue to be myself, work on my game, work on the areas that I need to improve on, but also just understand that no matter what, I'm going to come in and compete. I think that's the biggest thing, just being a natural competitor, being a passionate player for the game, that you're never going to want to feel like you've reached your point. And I know that's just being a rookie. Obviously, there's a lot more growth to be had. But I mean, that's just going to continue coming into the next year.
Anybody else? Anything? Thank you to our two all-stars.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll bring
you're gonna get better things out of them. We've had some moments this year where we could have really gotten down on ourselves, down on each other, and they didn't show that. Like they didn't show that. They were really disappointed in a lot of games and a lot of times that we didn't finish games that were close, and that's a good sign that they can wake up the next morning and do what we need to do, whether in practice or get ready for the game. So yeah, just try to keep it light, find wins, even the ones that didn't show up in the win column.
Yeah, you guys were competitive through almost last week of the season, which was a lot different than last season. How does that show the growth of the franchise kind of going into next year?
Yeah, a lot of toughness, discipline, and just the process, right? Like if you've been part of a rebuild, you understand that it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. We finished, I think it was around the Atlanta game there, our last one, and things just started clicking differently after that. And as a coach, in my experience, like it takes, quite a time for a group of people to come together who hadn't played together. And offensively, we just started doing things differently. Started making passes that we weren't making earlier, finding post touches, people in the paint that we weren't finding earlier. And then we were knocking down shots. We had a lot of dribble penetration and kicks for some swing action that came up big for us late. So I think just the obvious of playing together for a few months and getting that chemistry coming together.
And you mentioned earlier this season about having the best odds in the lottery. You need like one more piece to be truly competitive next season. Now that the season is over, what do you think you need for next season? What do you think you should focus on getting in the draft or free agency?
Yeah, I think when Lynn and I get together and start hashing all that out, I think it's going to be at first and foremost, it's got to be the right person. The right person's got to come in here to fit kind of what we've got this puzzle going, and that's number one importance. A few positions that we've got to cover. I think again we're still really young, so adding some vets would be good as well.
just to help with just that leadership piece and just still showing these young players how to be pros and how to get better. I mean, you learn so much from your peers, right? So like your teammates who are helping you every day at practice. You know, when Z came in for us this year, she came in at the right time. She helped AB and Victoria more than I could have imagined. That's what I really thanked her for that role and what she played for us when she got here. So just some people that can come in and who've experienced playoffs, right? I think I've got one person who's been in one playoff game. I think Erica Wheeler's been in the playoffs, but just some people who understand what it takes to make that next step. We made some really good progress this year, but what else we have to do to take it to that next level?
Somewhat dramatic stylistic changes from last year to this year with this team with you coming in as a coach. What did you implement that you hope to, and what do you still hope to implement in future seasons?
Yeah, toughness. That for me, you know, we talked, I did the exit interviews with all my players yesterday, and one thing they talked about was how hard training camp was. But that was necessary to show them just, you know, I needed to see who could fight through some real hard times, harder than they've ever fought or played. You know, 2-a-days are really hard. And just to show that toughness. And I think that showed throughout the season.
You just talked about anyone at it being a culture fit, but is there any skills specifically that you feel like will be important to you in the additions this offseason?
To playing some good defense. Thought you would look up on that one. And put the ball in the hole. I mean, those are the, you know, you got to make shots, but we're gonna, you know, it doesn't sit well to finish where we did defensively. And that's what, that's who I am. That's the side of the ball that like, I really want to be. I mean, that's where we have to improve. But also, you know, you always need people who can put the ball in the hole.
How much easier is it going to be for you in year two, having a year of experience under your belt, having an off season with the franchise already in place?
Oh my gosh, just the amount of things I learned this year about myself, just moving over a seat, you know, as an assistant, working with Pokey Chapman and Tanisha Wright, like, you know, they're listening all the time and they do what you say most of the time and they just do it. But I just would give like, you know, all my opinions and suggestions, but there was no, you know, I never had to answer to the media for anything. Or I never had, you know, I just got to say what I wanted to say. And now talking to the players yesterday, they were like, Coach, you know, what's been the biggest thing? And I think for me, like every single decision that I make, it affects the lives of 20+ people, every single one. And so, you know, that's a different beast sometimes when you're trying to think not just in the moment, but you're thinking big picture, you're thinking what's next, you're thinking what just happened before, and you're making all those decisions in a short amount of time. So just processing it all. Lynn encouraged me to journal every day this year, and I did. And just being able to go back and so I wouldn't forget things that, you know, I want to do differently or this worked really well. It was a great piece of advice.
Kind of just alluded to a little bit of this, but as a, you know, Tori mentioned it too earlier, as a passionate person and coach, how do you use that to your advantage and how do you kind of lean away from it sometimes as maybe a weakness?
Yeah, so there was a couple games this year that I talked to the players about that I really felt really terrible about, just took real responsibility for. And I think a lot of it had to do with just some things that happened in the game that got me really fired up, if you will, lose my cool. But it affected them. And I that is one thing I've learned, like, you know, you can't get too high and you can't get too low. And that's you know, that makes the difference in some really close games when you're able to stay focused and not let your emotions get in the way.
Anybody in the back? Angela?
Hey, Coach.
Hey.
With such a growth of fandom for women's basketball, especially from the college level, knowing that you have the highest probability to get that #1 overall pick, what does that do to the excitement that could be for this team and the W gaining fandom with a big name coming out of the draft?
Yeah, I mean, we saw that this year with Aaliyah and Grace, right? I mean, my gosh, the fans that they bring with them. And then the guys that are coming out this year, I mean, they're the same. I mean, social media has made this world unbelievable. I mean, it has brought people who had paid no attention to sports, women's sports, the Indiana Fever, who are all now really big fans now.
So yeah, it's just exciting, the ones that are out there that we're gonna, dive into and figure out who fits this team best. There's a lot of decisions for those guys to make too, if they're gonna go back and play another year. So, you gotta really kind of prepare for a lot of different things that could possibly happen. But yeah, it just brings a lot of excitement to the women's game.
What are you most proud of after this season?
I think the fact that we had a group of 12 players that came in and hadn't experienced very much success, the ones that were here. And then we brought in some really good young talent, brought in some free agents who I just really needed, some people that I knew that I trusted in, and they trusted me to help me in this first year. And just the way they kind of all gelled, and it didn't happen immediately. I mean, it was very obvious at times, like we were a work in progress. And I think just the way it all ended, just the way it all played out, I think the Dallas game at Dallas, where we got that overtime win, was just a huge, for me, it was after the first Atlanta game for me, where I got my first win. That Dallas game in overtime was just, it was incredible. I mean, they pulled together. We communicated on the bench at timeouts. They're talking a different language to each other now than they were earlier because of their comfort level with each other and trust. And then, with nothing to gain in that Connecticut game at home, great fan, but, great group of people there to watch our fan appreciation night. And for them to get a win. I mean, Minnesota needed a win to fit into a certain slot as it relates to the playoffs. And they were fighting for something and we weren't, but pride. And that is what I'm most proud of, that they fought for the only reason, but they fought for each other. I gave them 12 toothpicks that I put together. And I showed one before the game and I broke it in half. And I was like, that's how easy we were to break at the beginning of this year, because we didn't have that connection. And then you can't break 12 toothpicks. Doesn't matter how hard you try. And McCann and Mike could with her big hands, like she positive hand. But I didn't let her. I wasn't gonna let her be the one to give the example. But these guys came together as 12 as a team and finished really strong. And that's what I'm most proud of.
13 wins is the most of the last two seasons combined, or more, I should say, than the last two seasons combined. What makes you excited that you can stack even more next season?
Yeah, just, we're not satisfied. There's nothing about this year that we are, we're happy with a lot of things that helped us grow and get to where we are right now, but we're not talking anything else but playoffs and championships. And that was the last thing I said to each of those players that came through yesterday. There's no more talk of anything else. Like we're there and we're going to add some pieces that are going to get us over the top on some other things, but that's day one. We're talking playoffs.
Go on Zoom. Alexa.
Christy, I don't remember who said it, but somebody said that there was hope every time they took the floor. It didn't matter how far down they were, but it was something that felt so different than in years past. How does it feel to know that you were huge in part of generating that feeling of we can be in this no matter what, as opposed to maybe in the past being like, well, we're already down, whatever, only winning 5 games, things like that.
Yeah. Until that last horn sounds, like you can't think for a second. You can't get defeated. This game, basketball is a game of runs. We hadn't experienced very many wins in the past, so we had to teach these guys how to win, but they never, we were down 20 plus in several instances and came back and made it a game. And that's where we've got to get better, because the energy that we had to expel late to get back in games, I think there were times we ran out of gas and we just didn't have the experience to finish. But, I love that word. I got hope and never quit. These guys never did that this year. I can't remember a game. I think there were times where we were, our legs were not under us and there was fatigue that set in at times, but you got to fight through that. Lynn and I had a great talk after our Chicago game. And we've just got to, we linked that up to being playoff games. That's where we are at the end of the season. And that's going into game 3 after you play Dallas at home and you get beat, and you go to Dallas and you win. So now you got to come back home for game 3 of a playoff swing. That's what we've got to get to. We can't come home and not be able to play that game 3. And she taught, what she said to me hit so hard because that's exactly what it was. Even though we weren't fighting for anything, that's what we had to get to. And so things had to be different. And I made sure of that when we came back the other day after Connecticut. We did things differently, and then they showed up and played in our last home game and looked way better physically and mentally.
What was the biggest thing that surprised you with this roster, just top to bottom?
I just didn't think we were going to be in as many close games as we were early. I knew we would get better. I knew that we had the talent and the players to get to that point, but I think it happened sooner. And then we had, I think it was July the 9th, maybe, that we lost Melissa Smith. During that span, we went 2-6 or 7 without her. And then when we got her back, that's when we finished the season 6-6. And, this is sport, and you have to be able to have people to step, next man up. And we did. We had some players that stepped up when people went down, but, things could have been different. I mean, Liz was in a place where she was playing well. She was getting better. She was buying into, what we were emphasizing every day. And she knew there were things that she had to get better, and she was really focused on those at that point. And then, we lost her for those games, but, as well as Lexi Hall, losing her for 10 games of the season. Things could have been different, but that we never lost their fight.
And how do you evaluate your rookies' play this season?
I didn't hear the first part.
Evaluate rookies' plays.
Aaliyah Boston, first. Expectations. She blew my expectations. It's really, post players coming in this league. Any rookie coming in this league, it's really hard. It's a really big change from where they were. Speed, quickness, toughness, schedule. So she stepped in and did things I didn't expect. And just is a competitor and wants nothing more than our team to win, regardless of what she does on the court. Awesome human. We are so lucky to have her as part of this franchise, building with this franchise for the future, for other reasons, other than the basketball. Grace Berger came in and worked her tail off from day one, came in over a week early, put in the work, waited her turn, understood, put her in some games early to help her get used to the difference in, the speed and the quickness. We went against Chicago really early. Dana Evans, it was obvious what their scouting report was for Grace, and it really bothered her. And she went to work with our coaches to really work on her handles and the pressure of, what this league and these defenders can do to you. And she improved every day. Victoria Saxton, can't say enough about Victoria Saxton. Team player, always ready. One of the things that she said to me in her exit meeting yesterday was, Coach, thank you for making us do what we did. Our players who don't play the minutes have to go through workouts if they don't play a certain minute in the game. And our coaches did a great job of making them play games, basketball games. We brought in guys 3-on-3, 4-on-4, 5-on-5. You can get on a treadmill and you can work on your conditioning, but that's not the same. And so she felt she was always ready and prepared when she had an opportunity to play. And her, again, one of the best teammates. I watch the bench when I watch games just to see body language, and my gosh, she's the biggest cheerleader on the team. We had a great bench. They were so supportive, always encouraging. But those rookies did a great job for us, and I look forward to watching them grow over this offseason. They're, 2 of them are going to play away overseas, which is going to really help them. Aaliyah is going to develop in this offseason. She's already got a plan in place. So it'll be a different training camp. It'll be professional athletes who are ready to come in and do what professional athletes do. We won't be teaching these guys what that looks like and what that feels like day one of training camp.
Finish up with Bill on Zoom.
Yeah, Coach, you were talking about Aaliyah, and earlier she talked about her growth in the game from first day of training camp to that last game. I'll ask you the same question I asked her. Where do you see that growth taking place more, on the physical side of the game or the mental side?
I want to answer and say both. I know that's not the answer you want to hear. I think mentally, Aaliyah is such a passionate person and she wants to be great and she doesn't want to make mistakes. And there's times in games where she can let her emotions get the best of her. And it takes some time to get her back focused. And it's just her. She does not want to disappoint. So that is one part of her game that we talked about yesterday, just her overall able to handle adversity in a way where you're fueled by, you know, when you make a mistake. Like she really struggled with some easy baskets that she missed late. She wants to talk about it. She wanted to talk about it on the bus. She wanted to talk about it in the airport. Like this league, you have no time to stop and think about your mistakes. You've got to figure out how not to make those same mistakes, but you've got to move forward. We talk about next play mentality. On the other side of that, there's parts of this game that she has to grow. We talk about her timing. We talk about her seals, like her timing on her seals and also her ability to hold people off. And she wants to play the fighting game and physical game more than the mental game. And she's got to learn how to outthink these veteran defenders that are making her life really hard in that paint. And then the double teams and even the triple teams at times, just the crowd. But that's, you know, she's going to work on those things. We've got a plan. And then she's, you know, in the middle as well.
That was her answer, by the way.
Oh, wow.
Both, yeah.
Everybody good? Coach, thank you so much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, again for hanging with us this morning. We'll finish up with questions for General Manager Linda. Chloe, would you like to start?
Chrissy kind of mentioned this, but there were a good chunk of injuries to the team this season. Did you ever have kind of any what if feelings? Maybe you could have made the playoffs if Melissa or Lexi didn't get injured?
Well, I think we were pretty fortunate, really, when you look at some of the other teams and the injuries that they incurred. You know, it was later in the season before we really got struck, with Lexi being the first one out. That's just part of it. I think the teams that had a lot of depth were the ones that were able to sustain perhaps their high play when they did have injuries. For us, you know, we're still building depth, quality depth. And I thought when Lexi went out, Christy Wallace stepped up, and that was great to see. That was one of our key pieces that we went after before the season to get her from Atlanta to here, because we felt like she was a combo that could play three positions, and she showed us that when Lexi got hurt. When we lost Alyssa for that period of time, we weren't near as deep as in the backup four position as we were on the perimeter. And I thought that really affected our ability to chase that last playoff spot. You know, and looking back, had we had her and maybe won that series, those 3 games with LA, we might be the 8th playoff spot today. But that's just the way it goes. You just have to get better, have to get deeper.
And you mentioned rebuilding. 13 wins this season were more than past 2 seasons combined, and you were competitive for a playoff spot up until the last 2 weeks of the season. And how does that show the growth of the franchise this year?
Well, this is year 2 of my plan to get us back where we're supposed to be, and I think we're on track. We may be a little bit ahead of schedule. Our goals this year were improvement. Our goals were build a foundation with a great culture, have more talent, bring in more talent with our free agency, have a great draft, check, be competitive in every game we played, fight for a playoff spot. So that's how I'm looking at this season. 13 wins are great, but we achieved most every goal that we had. We know we're not where we need to be, or we'd be in the playoffs. So we got to continue to grow. But I'm pleased with the progress. When you go from 5 wins to 13 wins, that's significant.
How did you see the culture change with the team from this new coaching staff?
Well, culture always starts with the top, with the leadership. And I felt like Christy and her staff set the standard from day one. From the time we hired Christy,
and she began to hire her own staff, we saw a change in culture because she values that culture. A strong culture where everyone feels valued, where everyone has safe and everyone is all in is really important as you build a championship team. It's like the foundation of a house. And so right from the get-go, you know, Christy was interacting with the former players. We were talking about who we wanted to bring in. And so I saw an immediate shift. And then with the assistants that she hired, the people that she hired around her were those same type people. So I was very optimistic that we would see a change, and we did.
And you mentioned earlier this season that you're gonna rebuild the team through high draft picks and good free agents. What did you see, like, skills wise, that the team needs to get, especially with having the best odds in the lottery for the 2024 draft?
Well, if we should get a high, I mean, we can't draft lower than third. So we're gonna get a top pick, whether it's 1, 2, or 3. We're going to get a very good draft pick in the 2024 draft. Would we love to have the top pick? Absolutely. I don't think there's any doubt that there's a consensus group of people with Caitlin Clark and Van Lith and Brink and Cardosa and Bukers. You know, there's a quality group in this draft, but we don't know if they'll come out. We didn't know if Leah Boston and all the South Carolina players would come out last year. They all did. So we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to be prepared for whatever. But I think we will get a significant player out of next year's draft. I feel confident that we'll get a significant free agent in next year's free agency. So that's adding 2 players to what we already have. But what we already have has to come back better. You know, they can't be satisfied. Kelsey Mitchell, Melissa Smith, Aaliyah Boston, our big 3 have to come back better. Did they have excellent seasons? Absolutely. But they've got to be even better next year. And then that's how we continue to grow this franchise.
Between the draft and that significant free agency addition you're hoping to have, is there any specific skills, whether that's shooting, defense, you know, that you would hope to add or target?
I think we need another shooter. We need to make sure we did improve. I'm gonna say this: we did improve our field goal shooting percentage. We improved our 3-point shooting percentage. We improved our free throw shooting percentage. All of those significant, and that's why we scored more points. There's no doubt about it. We picked up the pace. We played faster. And as Christy said, you know, we know the 3 areas that we've got to fix. We've got to be better defensively, individually, and as a team. We've got to quit fouling. We lead the team. We lead the league in fouling. We're the foul queens. You know, I don't want to be the queens. I want to be the, you know, I just want to be. I don't want to be the queens. So that's discipline, and that's improving your defense. So there's some areas. The good news is you can fix those. We can fix those. We don't have to be the best defensive team. We just need to be in the middle of the pack. And so we'll focus on that, and we'll be better.
Seems like the goal next year is playoffs for you guys. And if that is the case, how will that sort of influence the way you add talent and look at adding veterans versus young players?
Well, I certainly would like to add a veteran free agent that's been in the playoffs, that knows how to win. I'd love even better to add one that's played for a championship, that knows what it takes to win that first round playoff, that knows what it takes to win that second round playoff, that's been there, done that. It'd be even better if they had a ring, you know, so they can share with our players what it takes to get to that point. So I'll look for that type player. They don't have to be a superstar. They just have to fit into what we want to do here, and they have to make us better, whether it's the 6th man coming off the bench on the perimeter, or whether it's a starting perimeter player, or whether it's a backup 4. Someone's got to come in here and make us better.
Only 3 players on the roster predate you and your time at GM. New coaching staff, not new personnel in general with this team. What have you thought about all the personnel changes that have happened in the last 2 years? And do you feel like everybody's kind of in the right seat of the bus now going forward?
Well, I think it's still unknown if players from the past can adapt and adjust and be all into what Christy wants. You know, some of our players, they're on their 4th or 5th coach. That's tough. That's tough. Philosophically, culture-wise, you know, trying to figure out what does this coaching staff want? But I did see some positive changes this year in their ability to adapt to the situation. And so I'm optimistic that some of the players that have been here in the past, you know, can still help us in the future.
What will be more important to you, if that even is one that is more important, between the draft and free agency this offseason?
What will be most important to me? That we get the right person that fits into what we want to do. I want to bring good people into this franchise that are great players. I'd love to have another Leah Boston and another Grace Berger. They've been fantastic. And then in Victoria Saxton, she is the best 25th pick I've ever seen in the WNBA. And there's no way I can explain to you what she brought to this team, even though she rarely got out on the court. Great teams have 10, 11, 12. Number 10, 11, 12 are the glue. You know, they keep your team positive. They're your cheerleaders. They're ready whenever anything happens. They're not whiners. They're not problems. And so it's so important that we had somebody like Saxon. And people say, well, why did you keep her? And I'm telling you why. Because of what she brought to this team in practice and on that bench and just in the locker room.
As free agency increasingly becomes more like recruiting, how impactful are the facilities you have here as a GM that you didn't have when you were a head coach?
You know, I give our veteran players that have been here over the last 4 or 5 years a lot of credit, because we've been through some really difficult times with not being in Gainbridge Fieldhouse, not being here to practice, not being here to play. We're at Butler, we're at the Coliseum, we're here, we're back over there. It's been tough. And now all of the renovations are finished. We have a gorgeous locker room, great facilities. Everything is right here that we need to be successful. And then where we live is next door. So I feel like we now have everything in place and some stability. You know, we're not going out to the Coliseum anymore to play. We have our own locker room. We have our own practice facility. So we've not only got some stability with our team, with our resources, with our staff, we've got some stability with our players. And so now we have some credibility with winning 13 games. And we're still young and we're still growing, and we have wonderful odds in the next draft. So we've positioned ourselves exactly where we want to be to move forward and get back on track for this franchise to be a playoff team, and then later to challenge for championships. That's what we're all about.
Lynn, there's been such a growth in the fandom of women's basketball, specifically at the college level. A lot of that is because of Caitlin Clark and what she did last year. I realize there's no knowing if she's going to enter the draft or if you will even have the pick to get her if she is in the draft. But just from a basketball mind, what do you like? What does Caitlin Clark bring to women's basketball in general?
Well, we've been very fortunate in that the Big Ten has been one of the most outstanding conferences this past year with attendance. When you look at Iowa, when you look at Indiana, they're selling out. They're already sold out of their season tickets, and they just started practicing. So we're in a moment here, and we're located in an environment where everybody's gone crazy about women's basketball. I personally think they should have gone crazy sooner than later. It's almost like we've been the hidden secret with how great these female players are. I think we saw the impact that Grace Berger brought to us, you know, because her fans came with her. If we were to take Caitlin Clark with the first pick, there's no doubt in my mind that there'd be a lot of people in Iowa moving to Indiana, moving to Indianapolis, or they'd be figuring out how to come back and forth. So it's great, it's wonderful, and it's exciting. But I do think the visibility, that the TV packages that the Big Ten, the SEC has gotten recently has really opened the eyes of people about how great college women's basketball is.
Go on Zoom. We'll start with Alexa.
Lynn, talk a little bit about just the impact that you think. You talked a little bit about Grace's impact. Can you talk about all three of the rookies and what you think they've been able to bring to the squad?
Well, of course, I'm going to start with Aaliyah Boston. We knew there wasn't any doubt in our minds that she was the #1 pick. And once we won the lottery and had the #1 pick, we were really focused on Aaliyah. And And we, after talking to Dawn and after Christy speaking with Aaliyah herself, we realized what a exceptional person we were getting. And so I think it's hard to kind of describe what she is. You look at the records that she set this year. I mean, she's in a category with the all-time greats already as a rookie. You know, she's broken some of Tamika Catching's rookie records. And so she's maybe generational. She may be something that comes along once in a franchise lifetime. And we've been very fortunate having Tamika Catchings. And now we have someone like Aaliyah Boston who is highly skilled as a rookie. And she is also an exceptional person off the court. And so it's hard to find people like that. So we're really pretty pleased with her performance this year, her poise, her composure. I think that surprised me the most. I knew she was skilled. I knew she had great hands and great feet, but I didn't realize her poise and composure when she got double teamed and triple teamed, her ability to pass, her face-up game. So just a lot of positives with her. Grace came in here. We asked Grace to play 3 positions. She played the 1, the 2, and the 3. She's a combo guard. She can score. She can get to the rim. I've compared her to a young Lindsay Whalen. I still believe that with her strength, with her body, and look how Whalen turned out. Wouldn't that be great if Grace turned out that way? So excited about her. Excited about what Victoria has brought us with her ability to be a backup and a practice player. So real pleased with our 3 draft picks from last year.
And obviously it's all but locked at this point, Aaliyah for Rookie of the Year. What do you think, what does it mean to the franchise knowing that, you know, she got to be part of this and she is a part of that 3-step plan that you set forth to when you got this job?
Well, I believe she's already been named the AP Rookie of the Year. I believe, or maybe there's some other rookie teams. I see them on Twitter. I never know if they're legit or not. Like, is this a real team or not? So I've already counted 2 or 3 where they picked her. Certainly we expect her to be named Rookie of the Year. She's earned it. But what I've seen with her is her ability to connect with Nalissa Smith and Kelsey Mitchell. And so now we have this big 3 here that we can focus on and build around. And they're still young, even though Kelsey's, you know, this is her 6th year, she's still a young player. She's just approaching her prime. And then we've got the 2 babies, Smith and Boston, so they can grow together. And so it's an exciting time to have that big 3 and then build around them.
Bill, saw your hand raised. Do you have anything for Lynn?
I'm good.
Okay. Anybody else, anything for Lynn? Lynn, thank you so much. Thank you all for joining us this morning.